I'm Emmanuel Brown, and I'm on an Untold interview.
Got Emmanuel Brown in the building, man. You on an Untold interview, man. Welcome on the show.
Thank you.
I wanna start from the beginning. Where you from?
North Philly, 6 in Columbia, which is now Cecil B. Moore, but it used to be Columbia back then.
Okay. And growing up in the city of Philadelphia, what was like your upbringing?
I mean, when you're living in the ghetto like that years ago, it was pretty rough. I was from a gang, like most younger guys back then. There was a lot of gangs in Philadelphia back then, but we didn't do a lot of serious gang warring, because most people didn't even have guns back then.
Okay.
We had zip guns and that kind of stuff, knives and things of that nature, but wasn't no serious killings like it is today.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
but it was still rough, we had to come through, some rough times with other gang members, and there was a place called R. Brown Boys Club on 9th and Columbia. Me and my brothers used to go there. We used to box in there when we was kids. And of course, we had to box the gang too, because, back then you had to box everybody. It could be 20, 30 guys. You had to box them. It is what it was. But then we had a schoolyard called Ludlow Elementary. That was on 6th and Oxford. And we used to, play ball there after school, And, there was another school that I ended up in, Daniel Boone. That was, I'm trying to remember, I think that was off of Gerard and Master, somewhere in that area. But it was in North Philly, but it was called Daniel Boone. That was basically the school for the roughhouse niggas, what I mean?
Right. I remember when I was going to Ada Lewis, I was in the 8th grade, and that's where they sent me for getting suspended for so many times.
They sent you Daniel Boone?
They sent me to Daniel Boone.
Then you know what I'm talking about then. Daniel Boone was no easy spot.
Nah, not at all.
And then they had the teachers there with them paddles, with them holes in the paddles. Man, you messed up down there, boy. They bend you over and hit you with them paddles. That you straighten up real quick.
Oh man!
But it was all, it was all in the upbringing, But my father was a minister, and he used to make us go to church every Sunday. He powered all us in this. I think he had a '57 Ford back then. He powered all us up in the Ford, and make us go to church every Sunday. But after a while, after we started getting grown, things changed a little bit. When you forced to do something, you kind of like resent it later on down the road. So that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't, I don't go to church too much today.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a big family?
Yeah, it was 9 of us. It was 5 boys and three girls.
Okay. And you guys was like a close family.
Well, when we were younger, we was okay, but then everybody kind of like moved on. I had 2 of my brothers went in the service in the Army. Earl Brown went in the Army, and then John Brown, he went in the Army. They stayed away from the family for 20 years or more because back then you had Vietnam. I'm not sure if both my brothers ended up in Vietnam. I think one of them did. I think my oldest brother, John, was in Vietnam, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I had another brother. He ended up being a minister. And then I had a younger sister. She ended up being an evangelist. My older sister and one of my brothers passed in 2020. It wasn't COVID related to my understanding. They just had some serious health problems. So to that extent, I'm glad that they passed on because they were suffering, you know what I mean? So, we always sad to see people leave us, but it is what it is. So.
Being a resident in Philadelphia, man, it was the crack era coming up in your era. Am I correct?
Well, no, it was more dope
Okay.
things back then. Crack didn't start coming out until about 85, 84, 85.
Okay.
That's when, we had people that were smoking, cocaine, but it was called, what did they call it back then? it wasn't called crack, but they was basically doing the same thing.
Okay.
You know, they were smoking the cocaine.
Okay. Was it hard, you know, staying away from the streets?
Not really. I mean, you know, because like I said, we had a big family, and most time, you know, we was in the house pretty much. You know, Pop didn't let us do a whole lot back then. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stuff he couldn't keep us from doing either. You know, I mean, because you know, when you're growing up and you're teenagers, you know, you don't listen all the time. You know, so you know, we went through that period like a lot of kids do today. Only they're a little worse today. You know what I mean? You know, especially in the single family homes. You know what I mean? As far as you know, we kind of like had mom and pop there to a certain extent, you know, for a long period of time.
Okay. And on your, you know, and being raised in the streets of Philadelphia, how did you navigate, you know, through the community?
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, you know, we participated in a lot of community activities in terms of going out to the All-Day Brown Boys Club. Like I said, it was on 9th and Columbia. We would go there. They had, you know, different things that, you know, kids could do. You know, most of it was centered around boxing, you know, because that was our recreation.
Okay.
You know, they had, like, if I remember, I think they had some pool tables and some other games that kids could participate in, you know. But it's been so long, I don't remember all the stuff that they had there. But, you know, it was a community recreation center, basically.
Right. Now, North Philly is a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
Is a real rough
Always has
neighborhood.
been.
Yeah, and it's you know, I got family that, you know, I got a lot of family that, you know, that still remains in North Philadelphia, and it's kind of hard, you know, staying out of trouble. Was that the case for you?
Well, the bottom line is God give us a choice. Sometimes we make good choices, sometimes we make bad choices. Sometimes we get advice from certain people that we accept, and sometimes we don't accept certain advice. So, you know, here's the thing, you know, you have a chance to do right or do wrong. And unfortunately, most of us end up doing wrong before we do right.
Right.
We have to have certain type of experiences in our life in order to straighten up and say, all right, I don't want that no more. You know, I don't want to do that no more. I don't want that experience no more. That was negative. I had too many issues with that. You know what I mean? So then a lot of people straightened up. And like I said, you had a lot of teenagers that was doing a lot of crazy stuff when they was young, and they ended up going into the armed services, and that kind of saved a lot of them. You know what I mean? Because they wasn't in the community no more. You know, now you was dealing with a structured regimen, you know, where you pretty much, you know, had to do what everybody else did. You know what I mean? So, but the ones that didn't get saved through the armed services or going to school, college, or whatever, you know, they pretty much got stuck in the communities, and they was pretty much doing, you know, what other kids in their same age bracket was doing. And then a lot of them got influenced because they were young, and they got influenced by older guys, you know, the old heads, you know, per se.
You said that your father was a minister, correct?
Yeah, St. Mark CME,
Okay.
Methodist.
Did you was you a kid that participated in church as like a usher or a choir?
No, not really. No, I just was just there. I was just there.
Okay. So we're going to fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
Take me into your young adult years.
Well, the young adult years wasn't that much different than the teenage years, you know, with the exception that, you know, I did pretty much things that, you know, I did when I was younger.
Okay.
It wasn't that much different. You know,
Okay.
I mean, I was more mature at a certain age, you know.
What type of guy was you?
Laid back, chill.
Like a ladies' man.
Probably was. You know. And, hey man, it is what it is, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, you know.
It was it's a situation that you went through in your life where you lost 25 years of your life. Can you give me a backdrop of that story?
Sure. 1990 is when a certain crime happened in Greensboro, North Carolina. As a matter of fact, I give you a specific date and time. It was September 13th, 1990. Two unknown suspects robbed a bank in North Carolina. And they allegedly robbed it in a stolen white Camaro. And one of their alleged getaway vehicles was a U-Haul vehicle that unfortunately was rented in my name and address. So what happened was the guys, according to the trial testimony and other evidence, they said that they dumped the white Camaro and got into the U-Haul truck, and the guys got lost, and they ended up in what they call Carolina Circle Mall, which is in Greensboro, North Carolina. And while they were in that mall, they was moving around the back of the truck, and some code enforcement guy, that's according to the court papers, he said he called for suspicious activity. Well, when he made this call, one officer showed up in that parking lot, and it's according to his police report. He said that he looked at the U-Haul truck and he saw a couple guys around it. And then he said a few seconds later, the guys backed out of that parking spot they was in and pulled off. He said he followed the truck. He didn't have his lights or sirens on, indicating that he wanted to stop the vehicle. So he said about maybe a minute or two later, the guy pulled into another lot, which was called Big Lot's parking lot. He said the guy pulled over onto a dirt road, and he said he pulled behind him about 50 feet away. And he said that the guy got out the vehicle, walked towards him with his hands out, indicating that he didn't have any weapons or anything of that nature. He said he had backup come. There's a female officer that came and watched him on the ground, which of course that was illegal anyway, as far as I was concerned, because they had no information this guy committed any illegal activity. But anyway, make a long story short, the lady watched him on the ground, and he went in the front of the truck, and he said he didn't see any weapons or money or anything indicating that a crime had been committed, that the person driving that U-Haul truck. He said he went to the back of the U-Haul truck, and he opened the back of it up, wasn't nothing in it. So at this particular point, he's asking the guy for his driver's license, registration, all that. Well, he already knew the truck was rented. It was a U-Haul truck, so he knew that the guy had the paperwork in the truck, for the rental. So he asked him for his driver's license. The guy could not produce his driver's license, so he took him to the county jail, arrested him, for driving without a driver's license, which I think in North Carolina, that's a normal procedure, when you don't have a license. Now, a lot of states, if you don't have a license, they'll just give you a ticket and let you go about your business. You have to report later or whatever. But in North Carolina and some other states, if you don't have a license, they lock you up immediately. But of course, when they locked him up, they're supposed to let him go after they gave him a ticket, a fine, or whatever. Right. You don't keep nobody in prison. But anyway, what the bottom line was, they ended up charging him with the bank robbery, but no evidence, none whatsoever. There was no identification for no eyewitness saying that this guy was part of a robbery or any other crime. So anyway, the FBI, now this is based on court records, the FBI came there to talk to him to try to see if they can figure out what was going on, and he wouldn't talk to him. So this was September the 13th, the crime was committed. About 2 weeks later, I'm arrested in Philadelphia on September the 28th. I'm riding, I was going somewhere towards the airport on Allen Avenue, and a friend of mine, Charlie Richardson, was in the car with me. So we riding, and after a certain point, I kept seeing this gray vehicle behind me, and I didn't know what it was, but usually, you see somebody keep following you, you got to figure out what's going on. But I'm not nervous or scared or anything, I just kept on driving. So when I got to a stoplight, because on Allen Avenue, it's a lot of traffic, So when I got to a stoplight, I seen the guy directly behind me. And I seen him on the mic, talking. So I told my buddy Charles, I said, man, I don't know, I think that's a cop behind us. So we didn't say anything. About maybe a minute or so later, I'm surrounded by Philadelphia police. So they made us get out the car. They put us in the paddy wagon. And I'm asking them, what's going on? Why you guys stopped me? Why did y'all arrest me? And the agent at that point, I'm not sure if he said it was for bank robbery or what it was, but I asked him, I did ask him what the reason was why we were being arrested. So anyway, I get to 65th and Woodland, which is the...
Now, hold up. The officer never explained to you why he was arresting you, why he stopped you?
Not that I recall at that moment. Not that I recall. All I remember was that they put us in that paddy wagon.
They read you your rights and everything?
No, they ain't, man. They just put us in the wagon and took us to 65th and Woodland, 12th District at that particular time. So now we sitting in the 12th District. They let my buddy Charlie go. So apparently they wasn't looking for him. They just looking for me. So I'm talking to him and saying, man, look, you got me in custody. Why am I in custody? And he said, for bank robbery. I said, bank robbery? I said, man, I ain't robbed no bank. So I wasn't, at that point, I'm relaxed because, I'm thinking maybe I did something that I don't remember 50 years ago. I don't know. But anyway, when you talk about bank robbery, I'm relaxed. I'm cool. So we get from there, they take me from there down to 6th and Market. So they fingerprint me and go through the usual procedures. And at that point, I'm still asking, at that point, I'm asking for the warrant. Where's the warrant? Let me see some legal documentation that you got me in here for. He don't have nothing. So this is a Friday. That Monday, I go in front of a magistrate and they hand me a copy of a criminal complaint. Now, in the federal system, you can be arrested 3 different ways: criminal complaint, information, or indictment. Well, they proceeded based on a criminal complaint. But here's the thing with a criminal complaint. If you file a criminal complaint against somebody, the next step is a warrant. You ask the magistrate, say, I got probable cause, I want a warrant. The magistrate give you a warrant. All this stuff is filed on the clerk of court records. Anyway, I don't see a copy of a warrant, so I'm complaining. So they brought in the agent who arrested me. They put him on the witness stand at the arraignment hearing, to explain, the details of the warrant. Not the warrant, excuse me, my bad. The details of the criminal complaint. So the alleged probable cause to bring me in the case was based on some information that they allegedly had from independent witnesses. Lo and behold, these witnesses never existed. Never existed. So now, at this particular point, I'm saying, wait a minute, hold it. The bank happened on September 13th. Y'all locked me up on September 28th. And I look at the court documents, the court records, it shows that the criminal complaint was filed October the 15th. We're talking 3 weeks later. I'm in custody all the time, and there's no legal process against me pending at that particular point. So now I'm really pissed off. I'm really, my jaws are tight, right? So I'm trying to talk to the lawyer and say, look, man, why are you allowing this magistrate to send me down North Carolina to answer non-existent bank robbery charges? There's nothing in it. In other words, North Carolina has nothing down there saying we want Emmanuel Brown for a bank robbery. You dig what I'm saying? So now, about 2 weeks later, me and the other guy get indicted on October the 29th.
Who's the other guy?
The other guy was Walker. His last name was Walker.
Okay.
All right, but he gets arrested because he's the one that got arrested in a U-Haul truck for driving without a driver's license. Right. Okay. So when he got arrested, he wasn't talking to the feds at that particular point. And somehow or another, they tricked him into thinking that, they had evidence against him. Well, we found your fingerprints on a stolen white Camaro, which I found out during the trial. That was a total lie. In other words, the 2 guys that testified against me, had they never pled guilty, could have never got found guilty. To this present day, if they said, we didn't rob that bank, we lied because y'all forced us to lie because y'all was threatening to give us life and all this crazy stuff, who can say that they was wrong? Because there was no proof that they committed the robbery. So, like I said, whether they did or they didn't, there was no proof that they did. So one of the guys, Walker, the guy that was arrested in the U-Haul truck about a year or so ago, about a year or so ago, he recanted his testimony and he took a lie detector test proving that he lied at my trial. He didn't know me from a can of lucite paint. Exactly. So he also, my lawyer had him do a lie detector test with a professional lie detector professional, and he passed the lie detector test. So all that's part of the documents that's going in the court at this particular moment. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if we filed the paperwork yet, but it's going to be filed soon. So, but anyway, getting back to the issue of the case, prior to the trial, I filed a lot of motions trying to get the case dismissed based on egregious prosecutorial misconduct. The judge denied everything. And so me and the judge got in a big argument during the trial. And because I'm telling him, I'm saying, look, where's the probable cause in this case, Your Honor? I said, now, y'all proceeded on alleged probable cause to even go to the grand jury. Plus, I'll get to that in a minute. They lied to the grand jury 30-something times. They never lied to the grand jury. I could never got indicted. But that's another part of the story. Yeah, it gets deep, right? So anyway, I'm arguing with the judge about the probable cause issue. Because what happened was one of the officers, his name was Redfern, they lied on him and said that he talked to a witness who saw the suspects get out of the white Camaro and get into the U-Haul truck. Now remember, the whole thing with me is this U-Haul truck. I'm supposed to have allegedly rented this U-Haul truck that brings me as a possible suspect in the case. But listen, if I told the whole world, yeah, I rented a U-Haul truck, do that make me guilty of bank robbery? Hell no. You understand what I'm saying? First of all, you had to prove that this particular vehicle that you said was rented in my name and address had some association with the guys that robbed the bank. You never had a witness who connected the white Camaro to the U-Haul truck. So like I said, I'm arguing with the judge during the trial about that. So I'm saying Officer Redfern was his name. Like I said, he got on the witness stand, so I questioned him because they made me, sometimes I forget certain things. They made me represent myself.
Okay, I was about to ask you, did you have a lawyer?
Right. What happened was they gave me a court-appointed lawyer. He kept coming to the county jail, and he kept saying, I think you're guilty. I think the jury's going to find you guilty. So I said, man, hold up, man. You ain't even did discovery. You don't even know what the hell is going on with this case. And you coming in trying to talk me into pleading guilty? I said, you don't even know what my alibi is. I'm telling you right now. I was in Philadelphia when this crime happened. I was getting medical treatment at the time. I got the documents to prove it. Anyway, I told the judge, I said, Your Honor, I think you need to appoint separate counsel in this particular situation because this lawyer, we don't see eye to eye, no circumstance. He said, well, he's entitled to tell you which way the case is going and how the deck is stacked. I said, he's stacking the deck against me. So anyway, the judge said, you got two choices. You either represent yourself or, you're going to you represent yourself or let this guy represent you. I said, no, he ain't representing me nothing. So anyway, during the trial, like I said, I'm representing myself, and I'm asking the officer who they lied on and said that he had a witness who associated the suspects from the white Camaro to the U-Haul truck. He gets on the stand, so I asked him, I said, Officer Redfern, did you broadcast any information about a U-Haul truck or that you saw suspects get out of a white Camaro and get into a U-Haul truck?
Now, this is you cross-examining.
I'm cross-examining him.
Okay.
And he said, no, I didn't. So I said, you didn't do that, sir. He said, no. I said, well, were you listening to your radio at the time? He said, yes. I said, well, did you hear anyone broadcast any information that a U-Haul truck was associated with this particular crime? He said, no. And more importantly, there was another officer who said the same thing. Yeah, so it's two officers that said there was no information about a U-Haul truck involved in this robbery. So anyway, at this particular point, I stopped the proceedings. I told the judge, I said, Judge, I think you need to revisit the probable cause issue in this case. He said, well, what's this probable cause have to do with the jury finding you guilty or innocent? I said, Your Honor, if you had to rule correctly on probable cause, I wouldn't be sitting in front of this jury. He knew I was right. So his thing was, I find probable cause, proceed. So I said, you're going to let this thing go whichever way it goes, as long as you get a conviction out the deal. He just looked at me. He knew I was right. The bottom line is, like I told you before earlier, when you challenge, especially the feds, and you lose, they're going to punish you. Because like I told you before, and I can get to that later on, I did a 25-year sentence under career offender, and I never was a career offender. In order to be a career offender, you have to have 2 prior convictions of crimes of violence, or one of each, a drug offense and a crime of violence. Now you go into the category of career offender. I never had that. The appeals court even allowed me to serve that sentence knowing that I wasn't a career offender. They sanctioned what the district court did, which was totally unethical and immoral as far as that was concerned back then. But anyway, that's, like I said, that's all part of the railroad job that I had to go through.
So let me ask you something, Emmanuel. When you're in the car being stopped, what is going through your mind right there?
Well, at that point, I'm not really worried about anything because I know I hadn't done anything. I know I wasn't, involved in any criminal activity. I mean, if you did something, you start to feel guilty, you get nervous. Right. I didn't have no reason to get nervous or feel guilty. That's why I kept asking the agent, man, where's the warrant at? Let me see it, because I want to know, where this is stemming from. Where's it coming from?
And before you went to court with the master, how long was you sitting in jail?
Before the trial?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess about 6, 7 months, I guess. I mean, even the speedy trial rights was violated, you know. Because, like I said, I mean, the indictment was longer than 30 days. It's supposed to be 30 days prior to 30 days. It was longer than 31 days. The trial itself, because I kept telling the judge, you know what I mean? I said, listen, we have a speedy trial violation here. And he was like, nah, just keep it moving, Mr. Brown. I mean, that joker was something else. And he's still on the bench, too. What's crazy about it?
And that's the judge or the master?
That's the judge.
That's the judge. Did you see the master first?
I seen the magistrate from the beginning.
From the beginning, okay.
And he transferred me. He ordered me transferred down North Carolina to answer non-existent bank robbery charges. I can show you paperwork right now where 7 years later they gave me a copy of a bogus warrant. I kid you not. 7 years later, what happened was I challenged the legality of the warrant on a 2255 petition, a writ of habeas corpus, right? And when I did that, the prosecutor produced a warrant that if you look at the copy of that warrant, there's no clerk of court seal. All that's required. There's certain things that's required on certain documents. There's no court seal on it. All it has is a date, and it was typed in. Most warrants you see are written in. This particular warrant, I can show it to you because I brought some of the stuff with me. But, you know, in other words, let me explain this to you. Anything that I say to you at this particular point in time, I got documented proof to prove everything. I'm not just not talking because I got a mouth. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, if you say, well, let me see. Here it is right here, brother. Look at it. So, you know, nobody can dispute nothing that I'm saying because it's the truth. And, you know, the truth will set you free.
You in North Carolina court system, you're representing yourself. That's a lot of pressure.
Of course.
And at that time, how old were you?
42.
42. That's a lot of pressure, Emmanuel, to represent yourself in the court, especially when you defending yourself against something that.
Trust me, I didn't want to.
Right.
I wasn't gonna let that joker represent me. And you know what? The crazy part about it, I'm gonna tell you something else about this case. The crazy part about it is that I was so discombobulated during the time of summation to the jury. You know, you do your final arguments and whatnot. That I didn't feel comfortable doing my summation to the jury, so I let this joker do it. Now, why did I do that? You know what he had the nerve to do? He told the jury, he compared me to Willie Sutton. He said, many, many years ago, there was a bank robber named Willie Sutton, and the news reporters asked him, why did he rob banks? And he said, that's where the money is. He's comparing me to a known bank robber, right? Then he tells the jury, we're not necessarily seeking an acquittal. What the hell am I on trial for if I'm not trying to get an acquittal? I mean, this joker, and I know what it was. He was so mad at me, so upset with me for not letting him railroad me with the regular prosecutors and the judge and the whole 9 yards that, you know, he just did everything he could to stick a dagger in me, you know, on that summation. Because I got a copy of the summation. I'm telling you, man, that was crazy.
That 6 months that you was waiting, how was your stay in prison?
I mean, you know, it's anytime you're in prison, whether it's a county jail, I mean, county jails is different than penitentiaries. I mean, county jail, you know, you got limited movement. You know, the food is different. You know what I mean? The inmates that you're associated with are different. Some of them are coming in there, you know, they crackheads. Some of them are drunks. You know, you're dealing with different caliber of people during that particular time. Once you get to the penitentiary, most of the guys are settled in. They've been in for a while. You know, they got their own space that they deal with, you know what I mean? They ain't looking for no problems, you know what I mean? And it depends on how you carry yourself, you know what I mean?
Right. Now, obviously, that those 6 months, it's no YouTube, it's no
oh, no, it's none of
Google. So how did you educate yourself?
Stayed in the law library.
Okay.
Man, let me tell you something. I lived in the law library. I know probably more than some lawyers today. I even helped a lot of guys. I filed a lot of petitions. some of those petitions should have been granted. But, done with the feds, they find any kind of way to shoot you down. And some of them guys should have got out on some of the petitions that I filed. You know what I mean? And of course, I filed a lot of petitions myself, and everything I filed was denied. I think they had a rubber stamp said denied, and every time I filed paperwork, they bang, bang, yeah. And I was, like I said, I was 100% right in every argument that I made. I was 100% right all the way down the road. But they was determined to keep me in prison that many years, and probably hoping that I wouldn't survive. Because surviving 25 years in prison is not easy. You know what I mean? Because all kinds of stuff happen, when you're in there that long.
Now, because I don't want to fast forward to the actual 25 years. That 6 months that you stayed in prison, how is that affecting your family?
Well, I mean, in terms of family situation, once you realize that you up in the system like that, and you're getting railroaded. I mean, at a certain point, I knew I wasn't getting out no time soon. I already seen this, the writing on the wall. So, I would tell family, y'all don't have to come visit me. You know what I mean? I'll see y'all when I get out. God willing, when I get out, I'll see y'all when I get out. I ain't even ask for visits and all that kind of stuff. Every now and then, they might send me a few dollars for commissary, stuff like that. But other than that, because most of the time I worked in the Unicorn factory, so I didn't beg for money. I made a few dollars a month, and that's what I survived off. I didn't have a whole lot of needs, as far as how the family felt about it. Of course, they probably, missed certain things that I would do for them, because back then I had 2 nightclubs, and you kind of young, you probably don't even remember the clubs, but one of them was the biggest club in Philly back then. It was called High Road Studio West. And that was on 59th and Market. WDS used to broadcast live every Saturday there. We had Albie Shore, Shirley Murdoch, Force MD, the OJs, Red Fox, Holly Robinson. So a whole bunch of celebrities came through there at one point in time, because the DJs used to bring them through there. And Emmanuel Brown, Lady B, and Patty Jackson, all of them used to, be there back then. Butterball, when he was alive, he used to come through. Georgia Woods. So, we had a lot of people that come in that club. It used to be a ballroom, and me and my partner turned it into a big nightclub.
Okay.
So, but that was then, that was from 85 to 92, because I fell in 90, but my partner was still out until, the club was open until 92,
So it was still operating while you was incarcerated?
Yeah, well, what happened was the JBM, they was doing their thing, and we had problems with them, having, warring against other drug dealers in the area and stuff like that. And anytime you have a big club like that, especially in an all-black neighborhood, that club had been in Center City somewhere, it'd probably been more successful. But when you're in an all-black neighborhood and you got, different gangs coming through there, look, even the gangsters want to go out and have a nice time. So, if they got a nice club to go to, they going, But you don't ask them, are you a bank robber, or are you a drug dealer, or, you don't ask people their business, They come and spend their money. But they also come in with problems, but you just have to deal with it as a business person.
Now, while you're incarcerated and you still receiving revenue from your businesses, when did it start slowing down?
Well, actually, I never really received any revenue after I got arrested, because the partner that I had, he claimed that he wasn't getting no money, wasn't no money coming in. But of course, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, no, I wasn't getting no revenue from there after 90.
So did the businesses, the club, did it all
all that was gone when I came home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all that was gone. Because the first club was called M&M Club Unique. That was on 51st and Market. We used to stay up like 7 o'clock in the morning, because we kept getting raided a lot of times, because back then they had a captain named O'Neill, who actually ended up being the police commissioner at one point. But he was in the 19th district, and he used to come raid us all the time, because we stayed up. It was illegal, it was a private club. We was allowed to stay up until 3 o'clock. But 3 o'clock, we're supposed to close the doors. Don't let nobody in. But, people, unfortunately, what happened was a lot of businesses that closed at 2, they'll come to us after 2 because they knew we'd be open at 7. And that was unfortunate because I used to tell them, man, look, come 9 o'clock, come 8 o'clock so we can make some money so we don't have to stay open at 7 o'clock in the morning. But, they wouldn't come to about, 12, 1 o'clock, sometimes, like I said, after 2 o'clock. But back then it was what it was, you know what I mean? So.
Now, in this courtroom, you're defending yourself. You was arrested without being read your rights, no warrant. Charges is, are towards you into a crime that you believe that wasn't yours at that time.
Well, at that time, there was no charges. Keep in mind, there was no charges against me. The charges didn't come about until the indictment of October 29th.
Okay.
All right? The crime happened on September 13th. I got arrested on September the 28th. And I'm sitting in custody all that time. I'm even being transferred. I think it was October the 12th. The judges ordered me transferred to North Carolina, and there's no paperwork down there. So everybody got involved. When I say everybody, I'm talking about the marshals, the clerk of court, the U.S. attorneys, the lawyers, the judges, the magistrate. I mean, a lot of people don't want to believe in conspiracy theories, but that was a hell of a conspiracy.
Right.
So because how you got me coming down there, and y'all know I'm being brought down there, but there's no paperwork showing that y'all got charges against me.
So why are they holding you if there's no charges?
Because, listen, you're talking about the feds, man. They do what they want to do. When it comes to the law enforcement, come on, man. It's the state. Years ago, I used to always think the state was crooked. And, I used to think they do a lot of crazy stuff, to lock people up, set them up, plant drugs and all this crazy stuff. But you could never convince me that this happened in my case, that this would have happened in my case. Because, usually years ago, people used to always say, well, if the feds got you, they got you. If the feds looking for you, they got you. But that's not always the case. That is not always the case.
Do you feel like you got framed?
Of course I got framed. That was a total railroad job, man. What Clarence Thomas say, legal lynching? That's what the hell it was. See, like I said, they had to lie. To tell the truth, it wouldn't have been the case. That's the bottom line. That's the reality.
25 years is a very long time, to spend in the penitentiary.
Of course it is.
So throughout the course of the 25-year stretch, are you going back and forth to court?
No, hell no. I'm just filing paperwork and they just keep denying it. The only time you go back and forth to court is when you get hearings. They ain't give me no hearing because they didn't want nothing on record. They didn't want nothing that I was saying on record.
They didn't find no fingerprints.
They had nothing on me. First of all, they lied and said that they found fingerprints on the stolen white Camaro for the guy Walker. The agent from D.C., let me tell you, this is crazy. This guy said he came from Washington, D.C. to lift fingerprints off a white Camaro and a U-Haul truck. You don't come from no Washington or no normal bank robbery case to lift no fingerprints off of no vehicles. You got agents in that area to do it. You got local police to do that. So I caught him in a couple lies anyway. The agent that came, matter of fact, he got suspended in 2009. I did some research on him. He got suspended in 2009 from fabricating information, evidence in another case. Yeah. So he wasn't no angel. But anyway, like I said, if these guys had not pled guilty, they could have never found them guilty, period. But they bamboozled them. They hoodwinked them, as Malcolm would say. They made them think they had shit that they didn't. They made them think that they had stuff that they didn't have. And that's unfortunate is what happens in most criminal cases. It's called trickery. And they trick these young people into pleading guilty without them even saying what kind of evidence they got against them. And because the lawyers work with them, unfortunately. I ain't saying all lawyers do it, but most of them do. Okay? What it is that they get the discovery and they see all the illegalities involved in the initial arrest, the probable cause for the warrant, search warrants, and all this other crazy stuff, and they ignore it. They couldn't, they ignored it in my situation, but I was able to find it because what happened when they made me represent myself, They gave me a stack of Discovery about this thick. And they would bring me over to the marshal's office every day, and they would tell the marshals, he can read this, but he can't have copies of nothing, which was illegal. I was supposed to have copies of my stuff. They wouldn't give me copies of nothing. So they said he can make notes, and that's it. So when I'm in the courtroom cross-examining the witnesses, you know, I'm arguing with the judge. I said, Your Honor, I said, I can't impeach this particular witness based on my notes. I don't have copies now. He said, well, what's that in front of you? I said, there's stacks of stuff. I said, but they keep taking it from me. Well, you're supposed to have it. I said, well, then tell them I'm supposed to have it because they keep taking it from me. He didn't care. He really didn't. But anyway, those were the stuff that I had to go through in that trial, a 3-week trial. The trial lasted 3 weeks.
How was the jury? What type of jury did you have?
I had 11 white and 1 black. Black old lady. And you know that black old lady was not going to scrutinize things to a point where she was going to object to them saying guilty. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, God bless her soul. She might not even be living now, but she was the only black on the jury.
Was you scared in that courtroom?
I wouldn't say I was scared because at a certain point, you have to face reality that, you know, you have no control. In other words, I couldn't walk out of there. You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So at that point, I just put my mind at ease and decided, okay, whatever I got to do, I'm going to survive this. And that's what it boiled down to. Like I said, if it wasn't for the law library, I don't know what would have happened. You can't survive in prison just shooting pool all day or playing cards all day. You know, so I kept my mind occupied. You know, I mean, I learned how to play chess, and I used to play a lot of chess games, which was good. Killed a lot of time. But, you know, the law library was my whole thing.
With the other 2 guys that was on the trial, did they have the same lawyer? They had
they had 2 different lawyers, but they were court-appointed lawyers.
Okay. So
and those lawyers' only job was to get them to plead guilty and testify against me, because I'm going to trial. So they want me bad. You know, oh man, he going to trial? Oh yeah, okay, Mr. Brown. Well, we got you. We're gonna give you a trial. You know, it ain't gonna be a fair trial, but we're gonna give you one. I was so mad. I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. I'm gonna tell you this here. I have to mention this here. When I was in the county jail in Philadelphia, when I first got locked up, there was a joker that was in the jail. And I had a copy of the criminal complaint. And you know how you talking to people, you know, that claim that they got some legal knowledge and they know shit. Well, anyway, me and him going over the criminal complaint, and I'm trying to figure things out, you know. Don't you know this son of a bitch came to my trial and testified that I knew this person that was supposed to be somebody that worked in the bank, that supposed to be an inside connection, all this crazy stuff. And I got so mad that they put this joker, you know, on the witness stand to testify against me, didn't even know me, period, that I told the marshals, I told the judge, I said, Judge, I'm not staying in this kangaroo courtroom. I said, you can tell the marshals to blow my brains out. I'm not staying here. And he said, well, we can try the case without you. I said, I know you can. You're doing it already. So I went in the bullpen, sat there for a few, and I said to myself, I said, man, I said, let me tell you something. If I don't go back in there, they're going to say a whole bunch of shit that I can't refute. I can't, you know what I mean, challenge. So I said, let me go on back in here and continue dealing with these lying-ass witnesses. And that's what I ended up doing. But like I said, at that point, man, when they put that joker that was in the county jail with me, and he had 3 bank robbery charges from the same agent who kidnapped me. Because that really what it boiled down to. It was a kidnapping. You had no legal process against me. But this particular guy, he had 3 bank robbery charges he was facing in Philadelphia. And that was his purpose of coming down there. I mean, look, they're probably still doing it now, but back then, you know, they was doing it quite frequently where they had niggas that, you know, that was coming out of the county jails and jails, coming around testifying, don't even know the joker from a can of paint. You know what I mean? Lying on them saying, yeah, I sold him this amount of drugs or I did this, and you don't even know the guy. You just doing it because you're trying to get out of prison. You know.
Do you know the amount of money that they accuse you of robbing?
It was $371,000. It was an armored car job. What happened was the armored car guy was delivering money into the bank, and from what I understand, the truck was on one side of the bank and the front of the bank was on the other side. When the armored car guy came in from the back, they came in the front door and they caught him inside the vault. and they took the bags from him. And it was like $371,000. And I ain't getting none of it. And I did all that goddamn time. Yes.
At what point during the trial did you feel like defeated, like this wasn't going into your favor?
Well, I did take the witness stand, and I was trying to explain to the jury the circumstances that I wasn't there when it happened. I tried to explain to them where I was at and that I was innocent. And I can kind of like, I looked at the jury and I kind of like, they kind of like looked in a different direction. In other words, they didn't give me eye contact like I was giving them. So I kind of felt like, okay, this ain't going too good. And at that point, I felt like, okay, it's going to be a guilty verdict. But here's the whole thing about that. Let me explain something else to you about that guilty verdict. The guys that robbed the bank took the stand and said when they robbed the bank, I was nowhere around. Yes. Yes. So here's the thing. Under the law, you get charged with conspiracy, aiding and abetting, or you actually committed the crime. Well, in a bank robbery case, you can aid and abet by driving a getaway car or do a couple things to aid and abet the person committing the crime. Well, if I'm not there when they commit the crime, how are you finding me guilty of aiding and abetting? Because they already admitted that I didn't physically rob the bank. So why are you finding me guilty of aiding and abetting? And I think what happened was the jury might have felt that I had some involvement which was based on conspiracy, but I never got charged with conspiracy. So because I was never charged with conspiracy, they should have never found me guilty, period.
Now,
that's from a legal standpoint.
At this point, was there any surveillance cameras?
I think they said the cameras wasn't working. Either that or they couldn't. Well, first of all, the agent told the grand jury that one of the guys, the guy that was in the U-Haul truck, he said, I think he was one of the outside people. He don't fit the description. So remember I told you there was nothing that convicted him except for the line agent coming from Washington talking about his fingerprints was on the white Camaro. But the agent told the grand jury, he said, he didn't say that about the other guy. He was just talking, because at that time we was getting indicted. Just me and the guy driving the U-Haul truck was the only people getting indicted. And then two other people came into the picture. Some lady is supposed to have been inside connection. She worked at the bank or whatever. Of course, that was never proven. You know, they found her not guilty. The jury found her not guilty. She should have never got charged. But what it was, the feds locked her up because they wanted to try to get as many nails in my coffin as they could. So they just brought her in the case, and she should have sued them because there was no evidence she was involved in no bank robbery.
Why is the feds so hard on trying to get you convicted?
Well, when you go to trial, that's the whole objective. They ain't trying to get you. Listen, first of all, when they pass judgment, okay, when they rush to judgment, as you might say, that they think you did something or that they think you're guilty, no matter what happens, unless Jesus come down and say, no, he's innocent, because their whole thing is convictions. That's what the whole system is about. That's how they get promotions. They get so many convictions, and then next thing you know, oh, they're supervisor now. Oh, yeah, you made supervisor, huh? Based on convictions. And like I said, all the convictions don't have to necessarily be 100% legit. A lot of them are not.
Do you believe that the two officers that was in North Carolina had something to do with that bank robbery?
Now, that I can't tell you. That I really can't tell you. You talking about the officers that made the arrest?
For the other guy?
No, I don't. I really don't know. All I know is, like I said, if them guys hadn't pled guilty, they could never got found guilty.
So being as though that they pled guilty, it weakened your chances of...
Oh, well, see, first of all, a jury always want to hear somebody say you did something. So when they said, well, he masterminded, he planned, he was there, he helped, you know, when they said all that, that's all the jury wanted to hear. They didn't care about my evidence showing that I wasn't there when it happened. I can't help you do nothing if I'm not there. I ain't Houdini. So
all of you guys are in prison for doing a crime that you didn't commit.
I'm in prison for a crime I didn't commit. Now, whether or not they committed the crime, I can't say 100% sure. Only thing I can tell you is that there was no proof that they committed the crime.
They didn't commit a crime except for them confessing that they did it.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in prison that confess to some shit they ain't do.
And it's still $371,000 missing.
Oh, that money been gone. That was years ago. You talking about 1990.
You believe that it was foul play, correct?
It was. There's no question that it was foul play, brother.
And the reason why I asked that is because it's a lot of people, like you said, that go through this daily in the system. You know, they're bamboozled to believing that they don't have certain type of rights, or they gotta, go with this type of lawyer in order to make a deal, or try to get off of a case. In your case, you represented yourself, and a lot of people don't do that.
Well, like I said, I didn't have a choice. I didn't really.
You had a choice of a lawyer.
No, but listen, I wasn't gun-ho to represent myself, because I'm going to tell you something. If I had a lawyer fighting for me, I'd have walked out of that courtroom free.
Yeah, at that time, could you afford a lawyer?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I may have. I have to look back at it and see. I don't think so. But I wasn't even concerned about, at that point, trying to hire a lawyer, because here's the problem. And when you hire a lawyer as a paid lawyer in a case like a bank robbery case or a big drug case, juries automatically assume, well, he got his own paid lawyer. He must have did something. Where you get that money? So sometimes you have to be careful about that. You know what I mean? Especially in big drug cases. These big top-notch lawyers come in there, with these $300 suits or $1,000 suits and all that kind of stuff. And juries see all that stuff. You know what I mean? So you have to be careful a lot of times when you hire, your own private counsel. I mean, if you can afford it, yeah, that's something. But here's the thing. You don't never know if that guy, I don't care if you paid him $1 million, you don't never know whether he has your best interest at heart. The best thing, anybody that gets arrested today, the best thing they can do for themselves is, listen, whatever lawyer you got, whether he's court appointed, whether he's public defender, whether he's private counsel, and say, man, before we go anywhere, I know you can see discovery. Bring me discovery. Let me see what they got. Don't you tell me what they got. Bring it to me. Let me see it. Let me review it. Then you can make informed decisions. You won't be misinformed. Because when you're misinformed, you make bad decisions. You know what I mean? I mean, first of all, I tell people, don't commit crime, period, because it's not worth it. I tell people that in a heartbeat. But if you're caught up in the situation, whether you did it or you didn't do it, at least do the right thing by yourself by making sure that lawyer do right by you. And the only way you can do that is make them give you all the discovery, because discovery tells everything. And then plus, you got to demand hearings. You got to demand a probable cause hearing. You got to demand a preliminary hearing. You got to demand all that so that you get these people on the witness stand ahead of time. So whatever lies they tell in the beginning, you catch them at the trial. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the whole thing is, man, it's been a setup against us for years and years and years. You know what I mean? But like I said, a lot of lawyers are not going to tell you certain things because it's not in their best interest. You know what I mean? That's their livelihood. They trying to get as many clients out the way as they can. They might have 20 cases. They ain't got time to try all them 20 cases, so they want to get at least plead out 19 of them. They still get the same amount of money, except for when they, somebody's paying them separately. But when you're talking about court appointed or you're talking about public defenders, these guys are bogged down with a lot of cases, man. They don't have time to be going to trial to every case. People come in, I'm innocent. They ain't got time to go into trial and all that. So what they do is, man, look, they got this, they got that. They might even tell you some stuff that, they don't even have. They might tell you some information that the affairs or the state don't even have. But that's to trick you into pleading guilty, get you out the way.
What year did you get convicted again, and what year was you released?
I got convicted on March the, was it 13th? March the 13th, 1991. I came home March the 13th, 2014.
When being released, who met you at that gate?
Nobody. I didn't ask nobody to meet me. Listen, I left a place called Loretto. It's up in Pittsburgh. It's not too far from, it's not too far from Pittsburgh, but it was called Loretto. But anyway, I took the train home. And I went straight to the club. Club was, no, wait a minute, the club wasn't open. What the hell I'm talking about? Hey, I'm going crazy. No, I came home and, I went to the halfway house. That's what it was. I had to go straight to the halfway house after I left the prison. So I was in the halfway house in Delaware for like 6 months.
Okay. There's a lot of new things going on in 2014.
Of course.
2014 versus when you went.
Oh, yeah, man. You talking about all this technology stuff out here, telephones. I had to learn all that stuff, man.
Did you
I'm still not all that good with these phones.
Now, when you got out, did you take a moment to breathe?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, you know, I wasn't looking for anything special. I wasn't looking for anything in particular. You know, I mean, you know, good meal, you know what I mean? Some good food, you know. As far as dealing with, you know, companionship for female opposite sex or whatever, I wasn't in no hurry on that because it'd been so many years that, I was like out of commission. You know what I mean? So, you know, one of the guys asked me one day, he said, you didn't want no yams when you first got? I said, man, I ain't thinking about no goddamn yams. I just wanted a good meal. You know what I mean? So, you know, even today, you know what I mean? If I don't deal with a woman in a week or two or whatever, or a month or two, I'm cool.
What was your first meal?
Oh, shit, I don't remember. Probably turkey wings and some rice and gravy and some broccoli or something like that. You talking about 10 years ago, man. I don't remember what that first meal was.
So you're out, you're in the halfway house. Are you still trying to pursue
My legal situation?
Right.
Of course.
Okay, can you elaborate?
Well, what happened was after a certain period of time, some things happened where I was able to work for, you know, a little bit. And I accumulated a certain amount of money that I could hire a lawyer. And, you know, I made sure that, he agreed with everything that I showed him and everything that I told him about the case, you know, because I don't want him going into court, you know, not being wholeheartedly in my favor, you know what I mean? So everything when he put the brief together, I made sure that what was in there supposed to be in there, you know, wasn't no slick shit. I mean, you know, so, but, you know, we cool, you know, he good dude, you know what I mean? Matter of fact, his last name is the same as mine, Brown, you know what I mean? But no, he cool. He's an older guy. He's about maybe 84, 80. Wait a minute. He might be 70s. I keep up with him. No, I think he's probably about 81, 82, I think.
Okay.
But anyway, you know, I was able to pay him a certain amount of money to, you know, represent me. And, you know, it's been over 2 years since he's been back and forth with my case because he's a single practitioner lawyer. You know what I mean? He don't have like a lot of paralegals and all that stuff. So he kind of like took his time with mine. And took a lot of time. I didn't want him to take all this time. Because I told him, I said, man, what you waiting for me to die and then you don't have to file? You know what I mean? I be joking with him, you know. But no, I think he filed last week in court.
Okay.
And my biggest fear about that right now is that the judge, he's senior status, and he's still handling cases, to my knowledge. And because of the area, you know, there's only like 4 Article 3 judges in that area. You got a few magistrates, but there's 4 Article 3 judges appointed for that district court. It's the Middle District of North Carolina. And because he's been there so many years, when my paperwork go through there, he might just tell one of his buddies, hey, man, denied. Which would mean simply that I don't get a hearing. Not only that, I got to go to the appeals court. which the Fourth Circuit, you never know which way it's going to go in the Fourth Circuit because you got a 3-judge panel and the whole 9 yards. So, if it goes that far, I'm hoping it don't go that far because, I don't know how many friends he got on that court. You dig what I'm saying? But if the judges on the Fourth Circuit do the right thing, they'll publicize the case and there'll be embarrassment for the feds because they don't want people to know that they did this in this particular case. You dig what I'm saying? So I don't know. Maybe they might do the right thing this time after all these years. You know what I mean? Especially after they realize, man, that guy lied on me. Another guy lied on me. You know what I mean? I didn't do it, period. But they don't never want to believe that you're innocent. They always want to believe that you got something to do, you had something to do with it or whatever. And that's a normal reaction for most people. Even some of my family members were skeptical about, because I remember one time I was trying to get them to put some money together to help me, get a lawyer. And everybody kept saying, well, nobody wants to cooperate. Okay, fine. I let it go. After so many years, I just said, cool. I'm going to do what I got to do till I get out. When I get out, then I'll get me some money, get a lawyer, and keep rumbling. I'm going to rumble this case till I die, period. Bottom line. Win, lose, or draw.
Now, some would say, Emmanuel, you did your 25 years, you out, you got your freedom. Why are you going to poke at a bear?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, none of us have absolute eternal life, period. We're all going to leave here one day, whether I leave today, tomorrow, whatever. My objective is not only to get exonerated from this BS that I got caught up in, is that there's other people that's before or after me that I want them to understand, certain things about the legal system that you don't know, that you're being told. Don't accept everything that you're being told. Do your due diligence. And that's another reason, that I'm still challenged in this case. As far as me getting money and all that other stuff, if I get money, fine. But I'm not, look, first of all, if I get $1 million or $20 million, I can't spend it all in my lifetime. So it's really no big deal. I'm not really, it'd be nice, it would be what they call a retribution or whatever, you know what I mean? It would be nice, I can do something for the family or whatever, help some other people or whatever. But that's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is if my testimony is able to help other people to not go through what I had to go through because of their ignorance, then I'm happy. I'm satisfied.
And while you doing that 25 years, are you thinking in your head, shucks, I'm already guilty. I might as well have did the job?
No. I never thought that,
Okay.
Some people might think that, but no, I never thought that. Because I know in my heart and my soul and my mind that I wasn't there. So I didn't help you commit the crime. And you can think what you want to think. You can think what I knew about it before, after, whatever. I don't care nothing about none of that. You convicted me of helping somebody rob a bank, and I never did that.
So going after you going after the truth, or you going after being compensated for?
Well, it's a twofold question. Number one, the truth shall set you free. And I want people to know, the people that don't know, people that have already assumed stuff over the years, I want them to know this is my truthful testimony. Whether you believe it or you don't believe it, I'm not going to lose no sleep one way or another. Okay? As far as monetary is concerned, like I said, if I get a few dollars, because you see in the federal system, you can't sue them until you get a conviction back. When you get the conviction back, then they got to pay you X amount of money, or you can sue them or whatever. So there's always a monetary incentive when it comes to stuff like this here. But that's not my biggest concern. I'm being honest with you. That's not my biggest concern. Because like I said, no matter what type of money I have or get, how long am I going to make use of it? When I was 30 years younger or 40 years younger or 50 years younger, sure, I could have did a whole lot of stuff with, a couple $1 million, whatever. But right now, it's not that significant for me.
One would say, Emmanuel, if they didn't find any evidence before what would make you think that they would find evidence to clear your name now?
Well, like I said, one of the guys that testified against me, it makes a big difference when somebody testifies against you and then come and tell the truth later and say, look, man, I lied. That makes a big difference. Okay? So as far as, in other words, there's no physical evidence that connected me to this crime. No physical evidence other than some stupid MF lying on the stand saying, yeah, well, he knew about it. He planned it. He didn't all say, okay. Other than that, there's nothing that physically connected me to this crime, period. No fingerprints. And if I was supposed to rent a U-Haul truck, why my fingerprints wasn't on it? And also the lady that rented the U-Haul truck, she couldn't identify me in the court as the person that rented the truck. True facts. Because I questioned, I said, ma'am, the person that rented that U-Haul truck from you, is he in the courtroom today? I'm looking right at her. And she looked at me, she looked around the courtroom, she said, no. Yeah. So the whole connection with me and this U-Haul truck was never established.
They needed a fall guy.
Well, they needed somebody. First of all, like I said, when you go to trial, they're gonna they close ranks on you. Period. Bang. Everybody gets in on it. Everybody get a chance to stick that little wee-wee in you. Maybe an inch here, 2 inches there. For you realize you got the whole thing in you. So that's but it is what it is.
Are you still going back to North Carolina to,
As far as any hearings and stuff?
Yes.
I don't know. It depends. If they grant me a hearing, sure, I'm going down there.
Are the other two guys still incarcerated?
No, one got 5 years, one got 10 years. They've been out years ago. Yeah. And like I said, I got the time because I challenged the system. And, when you challenge the system and you lose, you're going to pay. Except for, Trump. Trump challenged the system and he loses. He's still walking around. He ain't seen their jail cell. But it's okay. More power to him.
And you still want to challenge the system?
Not want to. I am. Still challenging it. To this day.
You're a fighter.
Oh, no question, but I came up fighting. All my life. I ain't never been intimidated like that to a point where I'm, going to hide from people and run from people and be scared of people. Nah. Because it is what it is. If you got a problem, bring it.
It takes a lot of balls and a lot of heart to do what you did in representing yourself. A lot of people can't comprehend that. Especially when it feel like a crime is being, put on them that they didn't do. Most people mentally would have probably, went berserk and, folded up into a corner.
Well, see, we as human beings are some of the most adjustable human beings in the world. We learn to adjust to our circumstances. They might not be pleasant all the time, okay? But we learn to deal with it, especially when you really have no other choice. The old saying is, God grant me the wisdom to be able to accept things that I can't change and change the things that I can. So, and there are certain things I couldn't change. And I recognized that a long time ago, so. But here I am, I survived it,
25 years, man, I'm pretty sure your faith, increased.
Oh, well, first of all, I never disavowed God and the supreme being, I might not go to church every Sunday. I might not even, you know what I mean? But, I always believe there's a supreme being, and I believe that we all have to answer to him, at one point in time, when we leave here. Our bodies will still be here, the ashes and all that will still be here, but our spirit and our soul will be wherever. We don't know. At least I don't anyway.
What's your advice to someone that's facing similar circumstances?
No, like I said, be informed and not misinformed. That's the whole key. You know, don't accept everything that somebody tell you, especially, you know, if it's a legal situation and the lawyer tell you, oh, they got you. They got pictures of you. Your rapper just confessed and told on you. All that kind of stuff, you know.
You know, in this case, you really could have folded. You like the other two guys that was on the case. And the fact that you still that you got out after doing a 25-year stretch and you still saying, hey, I'm fighting for my innocence. I wasn't there. That wasn't me. As it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Well, it takes courage, and also, you know, where I come from. You know what I mean? The life that I had when I was younger, how I came up. You know, I've just never been the type of person that was easily intimidated or bamboozled. You know, I remember years ago, man, when I was a teenager, I used to walk the streets of North Philly by myself. Never carried a gun, never carried a knife. You know, just wasn't afraid like that. I always felt like if God is with me, who can be against me?
Emmanuel, my last question. What is one thing that no one know about you, but they should know?
That I'm a man of integrity. I have a lot of pride, and I have a lot of morals, and I try to do what I can to try to help people, even though it might not seem that way at times, but this is who I am. You know, I'm more about helping people than helping myself. I'll give you my shirt, and I'll walk around with my shirt off. I'll walk around naked, but not literally naked, but, you know, I walk around with my shirt off and give you the shirt. If I felt like, you know, you was cold and you needed a shirt, that's who I was. And that's who I am to today. I make sacrifices for people, and the people that know me will tell you that. You know, I don't value a lot of stuff that most people value, especially material stuff. As you notice, I don't even wear jewelry. I don't have a watch. I don't have a ring, bracelet, none of that. You know, because that's not important to me anymore.
What is one thing that you value? You know, after the backdrop of your life, everything that you've been through. What is one thing that you value today?
No, I value people being themselves, being real. You know, not being fake. You know, don't be doing a whole lot of capping. You know, keep it real. You know, be honest with people. You go a long way. You get more respect that way. That's what I value mostly than anything else, respect. I give it and I receive it.
That's it, man. It was a pleasure, Emmanuel. That was a deep story, brother.
It is what it is, brother.
Yes,
And
sir. Yes, sir.
you know, hopefully somewhere down the line, you know, it'll help some people. You know what I mean? That you know that need that type of advice. You know,
And before we get off here, you said that you're doing a film,
a movie.
a movie.
Yeah, it should be finished in another month or so.
Okay. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Well, it's a movie about, you know, basically, you know, what happened to me in this legal situation. It's called the Emmanuel Brown story.
Okay.
You know, and I got some people that been doing this type of stuff, doing these type of documentaries and doing these type of movies. You know, so you know I talked to them. I did a documentary with them, and they said that, you know, you should do a movie. I said okay. So.
And Eric Allen, he also.
Eric Allen is the gentleman.
Okay.
Along with some other qualified people, you know, who I've been working with. They did, you know, a couple of bar scenes and some other scenes that they did. Right now they're working on the courtroom scene. So I'm working on getting a place that they can use for a courtroom. You know, I got two people that told me they had some places that we could use. So we're waiting on that right now.
That's gonna be dope, man. I can't wait to see it, man. And hopefully, man, we be a part of it. You know.
Well, like I said, call Eric and ask him if he needs you for anything. You know what I mean? And he might need you for filming or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, he has a guy that's qualified, guy Fran, Fran,
Shouts to Fran
yeah,
Daddy.
yeah, Fran Daddy, and he equally qualified. But I mean, you can never know when you can't never have too much help.